Hey, let's hope the next time the fans are all bundled up, it's at the other end of this season. Maybe some October cold weather here in the month of April. Everybody's bundled up, even the little ones today. And now, after a very unusual 2 days off, finally baseball is back in the district. Bob and FP, we're glad to be bringing it to you. I'm not sure Bryce Harper will cool off in weather like this because he's off to a great start.
He's off to a great start. He's picking up right where he left off in the 2015 MVP campaign. And he's facing a guy today that he likes a little bit in Tom Koehler. You look at his career average against the Marlins. He likes playing against them first and foremost. 321 average, 17 taters, almost 40 RBI. But if you go back to May 6, 2015, Bryce Harper with a 3-home run game against Tom Koehler. So he hit his fastball up, slider, change, whatever Koehler threw him, he was going upper tank. And when you talk about the feeling you have as a hitter when you own a guy, it's going to be the #1 story today. Does Tom Koehler face Bryce Harper in Carb? Kohler's pitched 29 innings in Nats Park. He's given up 10 home runs. 3 of them he just saw to Bryce Harper.
And the Marlins say he's been really working on his changeup in spring training. Better keep that thing down against Bryce and the Nats. Then there's Joe Ross. He makes his living keeping the ball down. The great sinker. 5-5 as a rookie in 13 starts last year. Looking for some ground balls early from Mr. Joe Ross. Ball on Masson, brought to you by PNC Bank, for the achiever in you. By visitannapolis.org. Create your moment at visitannapolis.org. And by Navy Federal Credit Union, proudly serving the armed forces and their families for over 80 years. Federally insured by NCUA. Nationals Park gets a chilly one today. Everybody's bundled up. Bryce has his neck warmer on. We'll see various variations of the traditional Major League Baseball uniform and the fan uniform for this one. Yeah, 41 degrees here. Fortunately, nowhere near as windy as it was in the D.C. area yesterday, so things a lot more tolerable today. Giancarlo Stanton, 322 career, 15 home runs, driving in 30 in this ballpark. Overall against the Nats, home and away, 24 homers, 59 career RBIs. He's the key to stopping Miami, although we have to say they bunched a bunch of base hits together the other night. Joe has to keep them off the bags.
Yeah, first career start against the Marlins for Joe Ross, and last year right-handed hitters hit just 172 against Joe, 42 strikeouts, 6 walks against righty. And the slider's the pitch. Fastball averages 93, slider 84, changeup 87, toying with a split, which we'll keep an eye on today. Then here we go. Baseball. Yay. I feel like we're NFL broadcasters doing one game a week.
Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, Sunday afternoon baseball right here on Massett.
Let's get into the flow of the season, for goodness sake.
With the opening kickoff, it's Joe Ross, and here we go. It's 35 minutes after 1 o'clock, right on time. First pitch, and that's hit hard to the gap in right center. And D. Gordon has his 7th base hit in 16 at-bats. He's digging for 3. There's a play, but the throw is a little offline. Daniel Murphy's throw just a little bit up the line beyond third base. Leadoff triple for Gordon, his 2nd 3-bagger of the year.
Yeah, D. Gordon sat around in his hotel room all day yesterday thinking, I'm going to swing at the first pitch of the game. And he does. You see the location mistake right out of the bat for Joe Ross. He wanted that down the way. It drifted to the inner half and right around second base. D. Gordon says, I'm going for 3. The helmet on his feet might have slowed him down here to make this a little closer than you thought it would be, but a good relay throw from Daniel Murphy. And Gordon just gets into third base and a leadoff triple.
That came into that at bat hitting .278 career against the Nats. Here's their center fielder, Marcelo Zuna. And he's been a first pitch hacker before. That breaking ball way outside. So Gordon with a couple of 3-baggers already. He also has 2 doubles. Yasiel Puig of the Dodgers has a couple of triples in the first week. 1-0 pitch. Jammed him. Some good action on that fastball. Junior member of this crew is Will Little. He has the plate. Crew chief Ted Barrett, 18-year veteran over at first. Toby Basner, 5th year at second. Lance Barksdale, 17-year veteran at third. Ozuna off to a 2-for-14 start with an RBI. It's going to be a line drive to Murphy. So the Nats get that first out without the run being able to score.
Well, we saw Daniel Murphy on the line drive right there, but let's set the defense for the Nats. Worth, Taylor, Harper, your outfield. Espinosa, Rendon, left side. Murphy, Robinson, right side. And Wilson Ramos behind the plate. Clint Robinson getting the start at first base today. Ryan Zimmerman, we were told, with an off day.
Yeah, because of the cold, Dusty Baker noted.
And Dusty's big on his bench players keeping that rhythm they have in spring training. He said with the off days and the bench guys not playing, that he feels like it's his job to keep his bench players fresh. So Robinson with the start.
Here's Christian Yelich, who has an RBI. Infield in with 1 out now. Although Murphy and Robinson are pretty much regular depth on the side that Yelich would pull the ball to, but if he goes the other way, which he often does, Rendon and Espinosa could unleash one to home. They'll have to be quick. 1-0 count. Up in the zone. Strike 1.
So Yelich pulls it on the ground. He's got an RBI. If he goes the other way, the Nats are hoping it's right at someone.
And you mentioned a couple of appearances in relief by Ross against the Marlins, but first career start, so only one guy in their lineup today has faced him previously. That's the young catcher, JT Realmuto. So
check this out. Half the infield in, half the infield back. Right side giving up an RBI early. Left side trying to cut down D. Gordon at the plate. You see Espinosa with his toes on the grass. That's because of the speed of D. Gordon. You have to play shallow.
2-1 pitch. Joe working under the hands inside. Ball 3. Tried to run that fastball back. Marlins have the highest team batting average in the National League, but they've only played 3 games, so limited sample, but they're hitting .292. And we saw how they could put hits all over the ballpark when they had 13 here Thursday afternoon.
Hitting coach Barry Bonds with some seeds in his mouth, some not so much.
3-2 with 1 out. Stanton is next. And that's the 4th time in this series Christian Yelich has been walked in front of Giancarlo Stanton. Very unusual. Inside the numbers with Jeep. So first 3 innings, Joe Ross nearly unhittable. He became a starter in July, so those were some pretty important second half numbers for him. By the way, Jacob deGrom supposed to miss his next start with the Mets. Here's Stanton.
Carp, I would say it's not unusual, and that's going to happen a lot with the Marlins in the sense that when you have a presence on deck like Giancarlo Stanton, as a pitcher, you're thinking, I have to get this guy out. And your mind's, you're kind of peeking at the big man on the on-deck circle, so you're pressing and the guy in the box. And if Christian Yelich lets that happen, he's going to walk a lot this year.
So it's up to his plate discipline as well as the pressure on the pitcher. 2-0.
And Ross right out of bed, having to go to his A+ stuff without even having the opportunity to get into a rhythm. Redlining early.
Yeah, that'll happen when there's a batting champion leading off who likes to hack early, as Gordon did to set all this up. 2-0 with a target inside. And that time Joe Ross got into Stanton's hands pretty well.
Cold day, it's hard to get to that pitch. It's, do I want to get to that pitch? And we've seen the Nats pound Stanton in over the years. That's where they usually go first, then try that slider off the plate away. I mean, the one thing that Mike Maddox's staff has probably in the back of their mind today, that as we've seen, that this place plays big when it's cool like this. So you're pitching in a pitcher's ballpark today.
Sure seemed like it during batting practice today. 3-1. Double play in order if he can get the ground ball. That's a great heater. Right to the inside edge, low in the zone.
The height of this is everything. So yeah, he got it in. He's trying to pound him in. But what do you do with that pitch if you're Stanton? That's tough to lift. You're going to beat that right in the ground to Anthony Rendon if you swing. So a good take by Stanton, but a better pitch by Joe Ross. Wouldn't be surprised if he doubles up and tries to repeat that exact same pitch.
That was a breaking ball that got a lot of the plate, and Stanton got a lot of it. So the Marlins up to their tricks from Thursday. When they had 3 runs in the first inning on 5 hits, they're ahead now and 2 men on base.
So check out the sequence. Joe Ross versus Giancarlo Stanton. First pitch slider off the plate. Then he doubles up on the slider. Fish ain't biting. Fastball in, which was the most effective pitch in my mind in the sequence. Watch it right here. And you're thinking, are they going to go with it again? And they decide to go 3-2 slider. And maybe an overthrow by Joe right there. Left it up. And a base hit for Giancarlo Stanton.
Mercedes-Benz on that pitch track, the sequence, and you could see pitch number 6 right over the heart of the plate.
I'll say this, I've talked to pitchers before, on cold, dry days, it's tough for them to get a grip on their off speed. That baseball is like throwing a hockey puck.
Here's Prado, .311 career hitter against the Nats. Had a couple here on Thursday. Off to a 4-for-13 start with 2 batted in. Is that Max? Okay.
I mean, as far as we know, yeah.
He looks like Mad Max today. He'll go tomorrow night when the Braves are here. This would have been his regular day, but Dusty pushed him back to get Ross out there. And a swing and a foul evens the count. Gio supposedly going on Tuesday.
Are you sure that's Gio? That's Tanner.
No, I'm just mentioning the Gio's pitching. Okay,
no,
there he is.
I can see just some beardage. There he is. All right. We have confirmation.
One pitch. Espinosa to his right. They're going to have to be really quick. Murphy is, and they turn. The 6-4-3. Murphy had a big man bearing down on him, and he turns a brilliant double play. The Nats, 5th of the year, and this was badly needed. First inning. gets going for the Nats here in the bottom of the first inning. Washington hitting .214 through its first 3 games. A start today for Clint Robinson, 0 for 2 in the young season. 1 for 4 career with a homer against Tom Kohler. He's in the 7 hole. So with Ramos, Espinosa, and Robinson in between them, 6, 7, and 8, there is serious pop at the bottom of this order against 29-year-old Tom Kohler.
Yeah, fastball 92, slider 85, curveball 79, occasional changeup at 84. Led the Marlins staff in wins in 2015 with 11, losses with 14, starts 31, innings and strikeouts 137.
Taylor looking for that first base hit. He has an RBI and a sac fly. Also looking for his first knock against Kohler, who's 3-6 career against the Nats in 9 starts with a .464 ERA. He's been knocked around by Bryce Harper, Jason Worth, and Ryan Zimmerman, who's not in the lineup today. 1-1.
If I remember right, and I could be wrong, wouldn't be the first time, Tom Kohler usually has his way with the Nats first time around, and they usually figure him out second time around.
The ball is sharply hit, backhand by Echeverria. Low throw. Bohr picks it out, 1 out.
Set the defense for the Marlins behind Tom Kohler. Yelich, Ozuna, Stanton the outfield. Echeverria, Prado left side. Gordon, Bohr right side, and JT Realmuto behind the plate.
Anthony Rendon 3 for 13. Double and a single in 5 trips Thursday. He's been on base 8 times in his career in 17 plate appearances against Kohler with 3 hits and 5 walks.
Key for me in today's game, and this applies to both ball clubs, is what pitcher has the best tempo and throws the most strikes, because in extreme weather games, whether it's really cold or really hot, you don't want to stand around on defense too long.
Yeah.
Get me back in the dugout so I can either get warm on a day like today or cool off, say mid-July in a game. But there's nothing worse than extreme weather games and your pitcher's walking around the mound, he's throwing ball 1, throwing over to first base 8 times, and you're out there freezing to death, getting stiff, getting cold.
One and one to Rendon. Target away. That got a lot of the plate, and Anthony Rendon rifles one to center, his 4th base hit.
Well, there goes a no-hitter. Anthony Rendon right back up the middle, and that almost got a lot of Tom Kohler. That was right back at him. And Anthony Rendon letting that off-speed travel deep, picking it out of Realmuto's glove, and look out.
Ooh.
Right back at Tom Kohler's head.
Yeah, the last thing he wanted to do was first of all face Bryce Harper, much less off the stretch here. So Bryce, career 7 for 24 against him with 5 home runs. And as FP mentioned, 3 in that game here last year, May 6th.
And on the fashion check, we have red batting gloves today, white cleats, and a scarf hood thing. I like it.
There's the changeup, 2-0. Jeep takes this inside the numbers. The Nats took him deep 7 times.
10 times at Nats Park in 29 innings. That's my nugget for today.
Yeah.
10 home runs in 29 innings. Tom Kohler doesn't like Nats Park, but it should play a little bit bigger for him today. We'll see.
2-0. Bryce couldn't get 92. 11 at bats, 4 home runs last year. Crazy. This year, Bryce has overall 2 home runs in 10 at-bats, plus 4 walks. Off speed, that ball hammered, heading for the bullpen. Left center, off the wall, coming around third. Rendon, he'll score. So Kohler keeps Harper in the yard, but the game is tied on a mammoth shot going the other way on a day like this.
That, on a normal day, would have been his 6th career home run off Tom Kohler. But on a breezy, cool day, ball's not going to go anywhere here. Bryce Harper, sorry, I laid out for the sound of the crack of the bat because I wanted to hear it again. Goes double off the wall in left center, and that's going to tie this game at 1. So nice answers so far by the Nats. They're digging it. We're digging it.
Nice. That ball was hammered.
Ownage is ownage.
Here's Murphy, 6 career hits, a homer against Kohler as a Met. That just misses away.
And you know Tom Kohler was having a flashback as soon as that ball was hit. Had to.
Audio and video.
Yeah.
Bryce, 3rd RBI of the year. Missed his 100th home run by about 4 feet, maybe 5 up that wall.
See, normally you would think, okay, lefty, righty on deck. I'm going to be careful of Daniel Murphy, but Jason Worth has a lot of success against Tom Kohler too.
Dangerous count to Murphy here, who's been driving the ball, taking all the way. He kind of has a little look back to Will Little, and it's 2-1.
Well, you saw the conversation between Daniel Murphy and Will Little. He just wants to know, okay, shaking his head, yeah, is that the bottom of the zone? Is that as low as we're going today? So that he knows what he has to protect when he gets into a 2-strike count.
That's off speed in the dirt.
We're going to guess the hit speed. I'm going to say 96.
I'm going to go 101.
All right, what do we got? Wow.
Whoa.
Let's go to Vegas.
You're buying the first shrimp cocktail.
He's got his scarf up.
3-1.
Because when you think of Vegas, the first thing I think of is shrimp cocktails.
I'm thinking free food, man. You go lose all your money. I'll eat cheap.
Hey, you guys want to go to Vegas?
Have some great shrimp cocktails.
They got great shrimp cocktails there.
For 19 cents a piece, I think. Payoff pitch, 1 out. Way inside. Almost hit Daniel Murphy, and now Worth gets a chance with 2 men aboard.
Well, we were looking at his numbers before the game. He's got Tom Kohler in his book a few times. Couple home runs off Kohler.
5 RBIs on 5 hits and 5 walks. So 5 for 19 overall. In this series, 8 runs in the book for the first innings combined. Easy take for Jason, 1-1.
Kohler's got a good knuckle curveball, but he has to establish it for a strike for the Nats hitters to respect it. And he really, the only one he's really thrown for a strike was the double to Bryce Harper.
Close, 2-1.
Well, you just like the approach right now by Worth. When he's locked in, he likes to see a lot of pitches. Now he's in a 2-1 count. And I always say that first hit of the year is the hardest one to get. And Jason Worth looking to check in right here, right now.
Good rip. Phillies have an early run at New York. They beat the Mets 1-0 last night. Nats will be in Philly next weekend. The Braves have a 1-0 lead over St. Louis. They'll be here tomorrow. And they're still winless at 0-4. Way outside and going to third, Harper, and Bryce is out. Saw the ball get away from Real Muto, who then made a perfect throw down to Prado.
He read the ball in the dirt, gambled right here, but the athleticism of the Marlins catcher, JT Real Muto, with the sidearm sling right on the money. That's one of those where everything had to go perfect for the Marlins to get Bryce Harper, and it did. Great play by the Marlins catcher.
Runner moving. So Murphy down to second as Worth walks. And Kohler still has only retired one batter, Taylor, in this inning.
So I always talk about being aggressive on the bases and having a manager that's okay with it, and that's why you're aggressive on the bases. You're not afraid to make mistakes, and all the best base runners in baseball aren't afraid to make mistakes. And look at Dusty Baker giving Bryce Harper some knucks a high five and say, hey, I like the effort. I like the aggressive nature. You're going to make it more times than not on that play. And a good at-bat by Jason Worth, FYI.
Yes, it was. Third walk of the year for Jason. Here's Ramos. Wilson 5 for 13 career against Kohler. So up and down this lineup, Tom Kohler has really struggled. Wilson had his first 0 for the other night.
What has he got working on the chin part right there? Is that just like store his batting gloves when he gets to first?
It kind of looks like it. Got his own pouch. Slider low and away, and Kohler's thrown some breaking balls that haven't even teased the strike zone here. Joe Ross had to throw 19 pitches. He's at 24 already. Let's make it 25 now.
Put hand warmers in there, maybe?
Some extra shin guards.
Face warmers?
Ooh, he got a fastball. Left side, though, out ahead of it. Momentary bobble by Prado, and that's it for the Nats. In the bottom of the first, Harper's first double of the year and his third RBI, tying things up.
Park. We talked in spring training about how Joe Ross has picked up a new pitch courtesy of Jonathan Papelbon, who taught him his split-fingered fastball. And I talked to Papelbon earlier today. He told me he feels that if Ross picks up this pitch well and really incorporates it into his repertoire, that Joe could immediately become a 15-game winner. He said the sky's the limit. He told me, though, the key is having the feel and confidence in the splitter to be able to throw it in every count, and that takes time with some pitchers. Ross told me the other day he's still getting there as far as that feel and confidence in the splitter, but he is going to use it to begin the season. Even if it's just 6-8 times a game, he says it's something that hitters will need to keep in the back of their mind. But Papelbon has a lot of confidence that if Ross can master that pitch and really work it in, maybe instead of that changeup as a third pitch, it could really lift him to new limits.
That's Dan with our Coons.com sideline report. Over 2 million vehicles sold and counting from our friends at Coons. Here's Justin Bour, who has hit .338 in his career against the Nats in just about a year's work.
When I think of the splitter, I immediately go to Tyler Clippard, and when he was toying around with it, and it turned him into a really, really good reliever, into a dominant reliever. You know, Clippard was just fastball change. That's all you saw from him, but he'd elevate the fastballs, like 4 different fastballs, the way he moved it around. But when he started throwing that split in there and getting confidence, and we watched it progress and evolve, that's when he became one of the most dominant relievers, late inning relievers in baseball.
And like Dan said, 6 to 8 times a game. Add a little click onto their scouting report, a different look for the hitters.
Second, third time around.
2 balls, 1 strike to Bour, the first baseman, and that's up and in. Real Muto to follow, and then Echeverria. 6, 7, 8 for the Fish. Top of the second, 1-1 game. Murphy way out into right field. The fly ball goes the other way. So Anthony Rendon, sun reflecting off his glasses here, well out into left field to take that one.
May 28th, we're all going to eat all kinds of different kinds of food. Taste of the World. With a special ticket, enjoy a pregame culinary experience and take home a set of National Salt and Pepper Shakers. I think those are them right there in the bottom right. And if you don't like them, you can just throw them and then hit them. They're baseballs and salt and pepper shakers. I like it.
Outdoor park area suggested for that.
Yeah, not your little sister.
Here's Real Muto. Fastball right to Murphy. Takes the 3-hopper, and now 2 quick outs for Joe Ross. Well, we talked about the value of a good number 8 hitter early in this series when we saw Echeverria get a couple of base hits and a couple of RBIs. Tough guys to pitch to when there are men on base, 2 outs, pitcher on deck. In this case, nobody on, but a good number 8 hitter might extend the inning if he can by taking a few and then trying to get aboard somehow. Marlins are really high on this guy. 27 years of age, he will be in 6 days. .260 career hitter.
But 260 hitting 8th, it's just such an art
really
and a value to having a guy down that low. You know, a couple knocks against the Nats in the first game of this series, some RBIs, did some damage.
He was part of that crazy deal when 6 other players came to Miami for Bonifacio, Buck Burley, Josh Johnson, Jose Reyes, and Cash. Originally signed with Toronto, out of Santiago, Cuba, and then lived in Weston, Florida for a while. Adeiny Echeverria. Now his battle begins at 1-2 with 2 outs. 4 for 11 to start the season. Great pitch. It took Will Little a second to call it. A 10-pitch inning for Joe Ross, and a great 1-2-3 after that long first.
Park 1-1 as we head to the bottom of the second inning. This week only, folks, T-Mobile customers get a free season-long subscription to MLB.TV Premium. Go to T-Mobile.com/MLB to sign up now and catch every moment on America's fastest-growing LTE network. So I want to show you the Bryce Harper reading the ball in the dirt. So with one out, this is a good gamble. And I'm going to tell you why. He's trying to get to third for Jason Worth to drive him in. And early in the game, in a tie game, you're going to take chances. And as long as they're intelligent chances with an idea, with a game plan, and you make outs for Dusty Baker, he's never going to have a problem with it. So a lot of my friends were saying in Atlanta when Bryce got doubled up, why did he go around second? Well, he was taking a chance. Good base runners take risks. They're not afraid to make mistakes, and the same applies there. You can live with outs when you can see why somebody was trying to be aggressive.
And that's a very athletic young catcher back there who had to plant on his back foot in an instant and throw, as you said, a sidearm sinker over there, and he did it perfectly. Very well played by Real Muto, their young receiver. By the way, I visited with one of our favorite ex-Nats, Brian Schneider, on the field today. He's the catching coach for the Marlins, and he's very, very high on Real Muto. And there's a busted bat to the left side. Bat barrel goes nearly to the mound. And then the play made by Prado. Clint Robinson 0 for 3 on the young season.
Well, that's, excuse me, Carp, that's what I'm talking about on a cold day. That's, you know, it's tough to get to that inside pitch.
That did not feel good. So here Danny Espinosa, good start. 3 walks, 3 hits. He's 3 for 9. Joe Ross next here in the bottom of the second. Kohler threw 26 pitches, only half of them strikes in that 1-run, 2-hit batter and a walk first inning. Low and away. How to play left side.
Captain Obvious, folks, we've missed him over the winter. And I think that sign just said, we're at Nats Park. All right. And how about the shorts?
How about one that says it's cold?
I'm sure it's in there. Stay on him, boys. I'm sure he's got some good signs today.
Oh, boy. What happens to people when they go through those turnstiles? We all become kids. One and 2 to Danny. 1 for 11 career against Kohler. And a good take there to even things up.
He's warm.
Is that the next movie, Captain Obvious versus Captain America, or whoever that is from WWE? 2-2. Off speed, got him. Kohler first strikeout. He's looking for the same 1-2-3 that Ross just had.
Pizza for everyone if the Nats score 7 runs. All season long, when the Nats win and score 7 or more runs, you get 50% off regular menu prices. Online orders at papajohns.com by entering promo code NATS50. Better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's or Papa John's or Papelbon's. Official pizza of Jonathan Papelbon.
Michael A. Taylor checks in. Rather, Joe Ross checks in with Michael A. on deck with his first base hit of the year. Ross was 3 for 27 last year, so he went up there hacking. That at bat was going to end quickly, one way or the other, and he did very well.
It's a good swing. Got a fastball. Was supposed to be away. Tom Kohler misses to the other side of the plate. Usually you can get away with that to the opposing pitcher, but not Joe Ross. Nice swing, base hit. And now Michael Taylor's chance to check in for the first time this year.
Now his chance to get off the schneid here, 0 for 12. Hit the ball sharply to short first time up. So he does go up swinging with a base hit. Number 9 hitter, number 1 guy extending the inning to get it to Anthony Rendon.
It was funny during batting practice today. Dusty Baker behind the cage saying, get on top of the ball, Michael. He was telling them, get on top. And Michael Taylor would hit a ground ball like that in batting practice and be a little frustrated. And Dusty Baker was saying, that's a knock, man. That's a base hit. And to see them practice it together during batting practice today, and Michael Taylor with his first hit. Dusty Baker telling him get on top, hit the ball on the ground, and it worked.
So no quick inning for Kohler here. Rendon up the middle for a hit first time up. Three batters in a row up there hacking. And he certainly, Kohler, doesn't want the inning to go any farther than Rendon. Little thing there. Runner looking in from second. Maybe the pitcher's blocking his view. Maybe he can't see the ball. That was a pitch low that Real Muto caught cleanly, but Anthony letting Ross know, stay there. Ball didn't go anywhere. 1-1. And this one popped up right side. Over in front of the Nats dugout for Bohr. And that's it for Washington. Bottom of the second, but a couple of 2-out hits. They've had 4 knocks and 6 base runners already.
Today, look forward to Miller time later in the ball game. That's brought to you by Miller Lite. It could be Bryce Harper's double off the wall, or maybe something more when you talk about what's going on here today. Giancarlo Stanton got the fish on the board, 1-0. D. Gordon led it off with a triple. Stanton with a base hit, and then Bryce Harper. You're thinking it's going to go close to home run number 100. He's sitting on 99 off the top of the fence for a double and tied it at 1. That's how this one started, and that's where we're at.
Yeah, that was career RBI number 251. Tom Kohler, 086 career hitter with 1 RBI. You know, Kohler won 11 games last year for a team that only won 71. He had a losing record, but he got his share of decisions. He had 25 decisions in 31 starts. Jaros went 5-5 in 13 starts, 16 appearances overall, and a 1-1 pitch. That's in there. Somebody said, yeah, baby, from the first base dugout. Or a fan with really nice seats today. 1-2. Slider got him. Ball skipping into the mid of Wilson Ramos, requiring the pitcher to run. 2 Ks in a row now for Ross.
Time for Toyota Case for Kids. Washington area Toyota dealers want to help children and their families by making a donation of $37 to the Children's Inn at NIH for every strikeout by a Nats pitcher this season. Looks like Joe Ross is warming up. Slider looks good. His command in the second inning right where he wants it. So sometimes on days like this it takes a little bit.
That double play got him going. 6-4-3 off the bat of Prado, ending a long first inning. And now 4 in a row since. D. Gordon on the first pitch of the game tripled to right center. Scored on the Stanton base hit 1 out later.
It's all you have to do is look at the media guide and see where players are from, and you can find out who plays well in April in the cold weather. It's simple. California kid? No. Wait till May. Guy grew up in Florida. Catch him in June. Oh, East Coast guy? Yeah, he's hitting 300 in May.
Three 3-0.
Talked to Wilson in batting practice today. He said the lowest it gets where I'm from in Venezuela is 75. That's the low.
Yeah, that's like 2 in the morning sometime. In December maybe. 3-1 pitch. Got the inside corner with that one. Nissan will track it.
Inside corner. Just catches it. Ramos set up away, but he'll take the strike.
Split that corner with pitch number 5, and here's a 3-2 with 1 out. To the shortstop, Danny Espinosa. Had time, and then the gun takes care of the rest. 6 in a row now for Joe Ross, and 2 outs in the third. Good job, you hardy Nets fans at the ballpark today, all bundled up.
You know, some shortstops, like you think of Ozzie Smith, Omar Vizquel, get rid of it quick. And some just stand up and absolutely throw a seed to first base.
Best shortstop arm you ever saw?
Well, I think Sean Dunstan's the best I've ever seen from shortstop. And maybe Troy Tulowitzki, but I would put Danny Espinosa close-ish.
Yeah, he's in their neighborhood. Yeah, Ozzie and Omar. It was really a coincidence, FP. The runner was always out by 1 step.
Yes.
They knew just when to get it over.
You're right. Sean Dunston used to run it halfway to first and then throw it 97 on Mark Grace's wrist. Gracie, you get to first base, and Gracie would always be talking about trying to catch his throws and how hard it was.
1-2 with 2 outs to Ozuna. And a couple of really good innings for Joe Ross. 7 batters in a row. He has struck out 3 of the last 4. His teammates got him back even. He's doing his thing, and guess who's leading off? Works with our do-up here. Career numbers in April. Bryce average in slugging. Murphy average in slugging. And Worth pretty much the same. First inning.
Check out the sequence. Tom Kohler, Bryce Harper. Bryce with, I guess, a lot of success against Tom, to say the least. And he gets a curveball right here on pitch number 4 and drives it to the deepest part of left field, left center field for a double. Scored Anthony Rendon and tied this game up. Where does Tom Kohler go now to Bryce Harper?
Way outside, ball 1. Great stat that our stats guru Carter Myers just handed me. Bryce Harper and Daniel Murphy combined 16 times on base in 30 plate appearances this year. They both reached base 8 of 15 times going into this at bat, and Ozuna will handle that for the first out. Murphy hit by a pitch after Harper's double first time. And then Worth. When you have insight, you know how to handle your finances with confidence. Brought to you by PNC Bank. For the achiever in you, A.J. Cole. Opening day against Lehigh Valley. They've had unbelievable weather up there. Got canceled 3 days in a row. Had to go somewhere else and play a doubleheader. A hit in 5 innings for A.J. Good for him. 78 pitches, 47 strikes for a Nats prospect who's been at the big league level a couple of times. Two and 0. That ball is ripped up the middle. Chuck and duck for Tom Kohler. The second such line drive today.
Oh, you make me laugh sometimes. Oh, another line drive right up the middle. Wow. Second one that was heading right for Tom Kohler. And another good swing by Daniel Murphy.
That's Murphy's 5th hit. He's been hit by a pitch and he's walked 3 times. So Murph all over the bases here in the first week, and here's Worth. Jason, good AB first time with a base on balls. Worth asking for time from Will Little on a long pause by Kohler. A lot of hitting room right side. Gordon shading up the middle as the Marlins look for a ground ball.
Jason double switched the other day. I don't ever remember Jason Worth being double switched before. And as a player with a lot of pride, that's something he's not used to. We've never seen it. And I just go back to 2014 when Jason hit third all season long, and he used to tell me how much pride he took on being a number 3 hitter. One of the best years I've seen him have, and he's trying to get back to that this year. And you're thinking it's just a matter of time.
Yeah, the other night it was the 8th inning. Worth had the seventh inning, second last at bat before a pitching change. There was a double switch. Chris Heisey came in. Runner on the move. Worth leveled off and fouled it back, and it's 1 ball, 2 strikes.
You know, that could have been a hit and run.
It's a way to get a guy going, isn't it?
And I think that's might be what Dusty Baker's thinking. I don't think that was a straight steal by Daniel Murphy, and you could tell by the swing from Jason Worth that he was trying to protect. So Dusty Baker trying to get Jason Worth a base hit by getting some infielders moving, and a lot of times as a hitter that takes the whole thought process out of it. Just try to get him going. You don't have to think, am I swinging or not? You already know. Hitters will tell you they love the hit and run when they're not locked in, because a lot of times you're thinking so much up there. You're thinking so much up there. And now it takes all that out of it. It's just see ball, and I'm swinging. I know I'm swinging. And it kind of frees up your mind on that one pitch.
2-2 with one out. Worth reaching. That's foul before it gets to the bag. How about a flex plan to get your season going? The choice is yours. Pick 4 games starting at just $80, and we'll throw in a free Nationals grill item. Nationals.com/flex and purchase your flex plan right now. Braves in for 4. The Nats are off to Philly and Miami. And when they come back, the Twins and the Phils will be here. Murphy going again, swing and a miss by Worth, and a perfect throw to the right side of the bag by Real Muto, who's putting on a show of throwing a ball accurately around the infield here today. Double play. That's it for the third. Nationals baseball is brought to you by the RAV4 Hybrid, all-wheel drive and unexpected performance. Visit buyatoyota.com today. There are some cherry blossoms still hanging in there here on a very cold 9th of April. After yesterday's postponement, Friday's natural day off after the season opener. Just got finished recognizing our troops here at the ballpark. And every year here on MASN, it's brought to you by DynCorp International, proudly serving our nation for 70 years. Thank you, Bryce. Top 4, Yelich, Stanton, Prado against Joe Ross, who's only thrown now 25 pitches combined in his last 2 innings. Yelich a walk first time up. Drops that slider in from the outside for a strike. Joe making his 14th career start today, 17th big league appearance. Inning and 2/3 combined in 2 appearances out of the bullpen against the Marlins last year. Gave him just 2 hits in that inning and 2/3.
And you saw the percentages of fastballs from Joe Ross so far, really pounding that sinker, trying to establish it. And you remember his last spring training start here at Nats Park when we showed that graphic. He actually threw more off speed that day than he threw fastballs.
Out to center. Michael A. Taylor. Shades down, glove using has a little more shade there. First out, top of the fourth inning. Stanton and Prado next. Giancarlo Stanton, his 4th RBI of the year, first time up. He got a 3-2 slider and banged it into left field. The Nats have the shift on. They can pronounce that a little more now with nobody on base.
You know, that's where he used to pitch Barry Bonds when he was young, right under his hands. That was the book on him. There was a tiny little hole right underneath his hands in the strike zone, and you'd see team after team pound Barry Bonds. That's why he wore elbow guard, because he was hit so much.
That one gashed down to Rendon. Well, Joe Ross keeping it going here. That's 9 in a row, 2 outs.
And we've seen the Nats do that with Giancarlo Stanton over the years. Just that fastball, and this is a slider, I believe, right here, and Stanton just in front of it. Ball hit real hard, and Anthony Rendon making a tricky play look real easy.
That he did. There's Martin Prado. He got that 6-4-3 double play ball out to Espinosa that turned around Joe Ross's afternoon. 3 of the first 4 Marlins had reached. A run was home. There was 1 out. There's Prado, and here's Harper. Bryce can't get it. It's behind him. Got a piece of it. Prado looking into the corner. He'll round second and head for 3. And that'll be a 2-out triple.
Bryce was tracking it, had a beat on it. Pretty good swing right here again from Martin Prado. Just got something up and away, and you look at Bryce, had that lean going the whole way. You knew he was going to sell out for it. So pretty good effort by Harper just underneath his glove, and watch him get up and scramble for that because he was thinking Prado might score.
Martin Prado now 3 for 8 in this series. And it's Ross against Justin Bour here with 2 outs. Bour a pop fly to Rendon, left field, short, first time. They were in the shift like they are here.
That had to be top of the zone. Mercedes will show us.
And a 1-1. Tried to go up there again at the top of the zone. Ball 3. High in the air, tailing toward left center. Michael A. Taylor has it. Another good inning for Joe Ross. Only 1 hit since the 4th batter of the game.
National Park. Wilson Ramos stepping out on deck. Most Nats fans know by now that Ramos had LASIK eye surgery in spring training. Ramos told me the other day his vision now is 2015. I asked him what it had been before. He laughed and said, I don't know, 2100, something like that. He had been wearing contacts, but Ramos told me that there's just a much bigger improvement now with his vision. Behind the plate, there were times last year defensively where he'd blink and kind of lose the ball. Doesn't have that issue anymore. And offensively, he says he can see rotation on pitches a lot better now. And you would think, FP, that would help him react to off-speed pitches a little quicker and recognize them a little sooner.
Yeah, I always say you can't hit what you can't see. And I think Dan talking about the rotation, the seams of the pitches. And, you know, if you see a baseball, that's one thing. But where vision becomes so important is picking up the rotation of the red seams on the baseball, or maybe that white dot on a slider when it's spinning so hard. And the quicker you can pick that up, the better chance you have of putting the barrel on the baseball.
That is just foul. So over 2 million vehicles sold and counting. Dan with a tag from FP with our Coons.com sideline report.
Pretty close right here.
Lance Barksdale on the call.
I still think you should put cameras in the bases, and if you can see the baseball, it's fair, and if it's not, it's foul. And have that be part of replay, because that's the hardest call in the world for umpires. I feel like a lot of times they're just guessing, did the ball bounce over the bag or not? And even if you're standing right there, it's just kind of your opinion.
Out to short for Adeiny Echeverria. Clint Robinson and Danny Espinosa are next. We have a new president, ladies and gentlemen. He's the 31st president, Herbert Hoover. He's in last place. In office March 4th of 1929 until March 4th of 1933.
Look at his eyes. I mean, those are.
He's got a crazy look at us.
Those are scary, and he's scary. Kids, I'm sorry. I mean, he's looking a little jaundicey in the eyes to me.
George was a little too courteous to a guy 30 presidents behind him, in my opinion, at the finish line.
Was Herbert Hoover mean? Am I missing something? Was he the meanest president ever?
I don't know. Archie Bunker once sang we could use a man like Herbert Hoover again.
He has got some awesome eyes.
From West Branch, Iowa, where his presidential library and museum still are.
Possessed Herbert Hoover president. I like it.
Crazed. He was crazed.
That'll be an email.
A very nice autograph, I might add, by the one I'm looking at here.
Really?
Yeah, very nice. Looked good on a sweet spot of a baseball.
Oh, yeah, I'm seeing it too. You can actually read it.
Clint Robinson busted his bat first time up on a bouncing ball left side to Martin Prado. So we don't know if we'll see Cal again, but Herbert's here. This one to the right of the second baseman. Backhand by Gordon. 2 outs.
Yoga in the outfield returns for 2016. Following the Nats-Marlins game Sunday, May 15th. It's not a stretch to say this is the biggest and best yoga in the outfield ever. Visit nationals.com/yoga. Those two women are stuck together.
And that's the day after the rescheduled split doubleheader because of yesterday's cold out. That would have been a really rough day here at the ballpark, the way that wind was blowing. Temperatures about like they are today, but it was brutal here yesterday.
Pretty sure every football player in the world was laughing that there was no game yesterday at Nats Park.
Yeah.
But hey, if you've ever played baseball in that cold and wind,
well, it did snow in the morning, and then it rained.
Not fun.
Ryan Zimmerman said they had 3 different climates in his 1 hour, dedicating his new baseball field over at 395 in South Capitol Street. It's a hot chocolate coffee type afternoon at Nationals Park. Guy's got the sleeves on today, basking in the sunshine. Well done. 1-3-0 Marlins, 1-5-0 Nats. Top of the 5th inning, Joe Ross back to work, 58 pitches, 32 strikes. And their young catcher, JT Realmuto, the hitter, off to a 3-for-15 start. I referenced Brian Schneider earlier, former Nat. Really the glue and the anchor on this ball club for the first couple of years in D.C. He was an Expo, came here with the ball club. And he's been working with JT Realmuto. He likes him a lot. Realmuto was rated the 2nd worst framer of pitches in the league last year, only ahead of Carlos Ruiz. But Brian made a great point, FB. He said a game like the other night where the strike zone's real tight and you're not getting any calls in the outside corner, when that happens, that goes against the catcher's framing stats. I didn't know that. And he said sometimes if the umpire has a really tight zone, catchers get penalized for that with all these sabermetrics and other things they have going on rating their performance. And sometimes the tight zone hurts not only the pitchers, and I'm sure catchers don't worry much about those sort of stats, but he's working with Realmuto on framing the ball better, and he likes what the young guy's doing.
Well, the only person you have to worry about if you're a catcher and your framing skills is the pitcher, not some stat that's made up for people that never played judge it. I mean, it's if your pitchers like throwing to you, that's all that matters, and the Marlins pitchers do. Yeah,
you asked them. That's the test, huh? Because I was given that fact about Realmuto. I'm thinking, man, that's not the guy I saw last year.
Well, the same thing said Denard Span was a bad center fielder.
Yeah. Nissan tracking the first 5 deliveries here. Fastball up, and that's crushed into left field. So the 25-year-old catcher has his 4th hit of the year, 4 for 16. Echeverria coming up next, the shortstop. So the Marlins won Thursday's game 6-4. Last year, the Nats only won the season series from them 10 games to 9, and that's a team that only won 71 games. So they had the edge in batting average last year. Nats had the power. Giancarlo was hurt for a good portion of that, and the Nationals outpitched them, but they really played the Nationals tough.
The 2 National League East titles that the Nats have won, 2012, 2014, they took care of business on the teams they were supposed to take care of business on. And what do I mean by that? You know, the teams in your division that are rebuilding, the Phillies, the Braves, borderline the Marlins. I think the Marlins are better than people think they are. But if you're going to win a division title, those kinds of teams, the Reds, the Rockies, the teams that are rebuilding throughout baseball, the Brewers, those are the teams you have to beat up on, especially in your division. And then whatever happens in, against the Dodgers, the Giants, the Cardinals, the Cubs, and the Pirates happens. But you can feast on the teams that are trying to get better for 17 and 18 and win a division and just play 500 against the good teams.
And the Marlins weren't that bad in the division last year. They were 35 and 41. So they did some damage against the Nats and a few others. It's a breaking ball, low and away. They just couldn't win on the road last year. They were 25 and 56. Echeverria 4 for 12 to start the season. Pitcher on deck, top of the 5th. Key to this game for Miami is that after his rough first inning, Tom Kohler has pretty much matched Joe Ross pitch for pitch for the last 3 innings.
Realmuto is going right there. He had a lean.
He's a catcher who can steal some bases. He swiped 8 last year in his first full season.
Stole one the other day.
To the right side, and this is a tailor-made 4-6-3 double play ball. Danny Espinosa crossing that bag with the ball, 2 outs.
Well, there's the sinker from Joe Ross getting the double play. Daniel Murphy with a nice feed to Espinosa, comes flying across the bag. How was the slide from Real Muto? Was it legal? I don't know. His cleat was kind of high. I feel like that should be a triple play. I'll get over it. Everybody that's heard me over the years, I hated replay too when it started. I'll figure it out. I think the game has a way of policing itself.
But replay's not a rule on how you play the game. This is. There's a difference.
Did Espinosa touch the bag? Because there's no neighborhood play now.
I know. That's why.
I forgot to look at that.
That's why I said evidently he crossed the bag with the ball.
Did he touch it?
Toby Basner, 5-year veteran, the umpire out there.
I wasn't looking.
I'm
not used to it.
Kind of holding our breath on every double play attempted.
Do you want a Game 7 of the World Series decided on that? I think that's kind of what you go to.
My answer would be no.
Yeah. Does he touch the base? Yeah, I see him kick it with the back foot. Oh, that's beautiful.
Saw the bag move. Well done, guys, out in the truck. Our Masson crew.
You could get in the habit as a shortstop of just coming around the base with that back foot and missing it, and you clear yourself. So the fact that, Espinosa knows there's no neighborhood play this year, you have to touch the base every single time. Now you kick it.
Tapper right side, deflects off the mound. Murphy able to grab it. That was a little tricky for a moment there. And in the last 4 innings, Joe Ross has faced one batter over the minimum. Had an RBI there. Why not? Brought to you by Hair Cuttery, home of the smile back guarantee. No small print, just big smiles. Dusty Baker telling Joe Ross, here's how you go 2 for 2 when you're leading off the bottom of the 5th. Already has a knock today. Next 5 ball games for them involve the Braves. Night games Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Max Scherzer and Bud Norris tomorrow night. Gio scheduled to go on Tuesday. 4 o'clock getaway day game on Thursday, and then the Nats are off to the city of brotherly love for 3 against the Phils. Then that road trip will take them to Miami.
I'm ready for Miami right now. I don't know what happened to spring. It was here last week.
Yeah.
Barbecuing in the backyard, 75, 80 degrees, and now back to winter.
Tom Kohler, 4th inning of work, 61 pitches, 38 strikes. Joe Ross got him first time. A first pitch ambush for a single up the middle with 2 outs in the 2nd. Then Taylor did the same thing before Anthony Rendon fouled out. Nats 1 hit since by Murphy last inning, actually in the 3rd. So it's 1-4-0 Marlins, 1-5-0 Nats.
I wonder if Dusty Baker was telling him to swing at the first pitch again. Let's see.
If you see a fastball, why not?
I say swing. Hack.
Will he get a fastball? He will.
Kohler's starting to get a good feel for that curveball, a lot like Joe Ross is getting a feel for his slider. And what he'll do is, when he's really effective, is throw that curveball for a strike early in the count, then bounce it late in the count and get you to chase.
One-two pitch. Ross to the right side for D. Gordon. Bottom of the fifth underway with Taylor and Rendon the next two. Has really settled down. He got that strike. I'm out, throw him out, double play to end the third. Saved him some pitches. A 1-2-3 fourth. Michael 1 for 2, and he goes up hacking for the second straight at bat. He had the third baseman Prado back. If he could have hit one down the third base line. He had Bohr back at first as well.
They appealed it and they said he went. Did he go? Let's see the replay again. I thought he pulled it back. Let's look. He did, and they said he went. That's not a good call. No other way to put it. He pulled the bat back, unless it was a called strike on a location. But no, they appealed to first base umpire Ted Barrett, and he said he went. So yeah, they said he made an offer at it.
5 straight batters, 0-2 for Kohler. And then Taylor, a defensive swing, pops one up to Bohr. Right in front of Davey Lopes, 2 outs. Kohler effective. Faces Rendon, 1 for 2.
DC Lexus dealers, they're donating $250 to the Children's National Health System for every home run Nats player hits this season. It's for a wonderful cause, Lexus, the pursuit of perfection.
Rendon based it up the middle, a run scored in the first. Harper followed with a double there. And Anthony needs to get on to get Harper to the plate here in the 5th inning. He will. It'll hit the short corner there, and Anthony Rendon checks in with his first double. No, that's not his first double. I know he's had one. That's his second double of the year and his second hit today.
See what Don Mattingly does with Bryce Harper now. 2 outs at first base open. Anthony Rendon with his second hit of the day. Just a chopper off the dirt, perfectly placed on the left field line. And I'm thinking Daniel Murphy might have a chance to drive in this run, but let's see what Don Mattingly does with Bryce Harper first.
Walk a lefty to get to a lefty. There were some glances into the dugout.
They're going to pitch.
Real Muto is still standing.
Now they're going to walk him.
That's it.
You're going to see this happen a lot this year, and that's no offense to anybody hitting behind Bryce Harper. Ryan Zimmerman, very capable. Daniel Murphy, very capable. But that guy knows a little bit about that. Barry Bonds.
Well, Daniel Murphy's been on base twice today, hit by a pitch and a base hit. He's off to a 5 for 12 start. He's been on base 9 times in 3.5 games. Trying to do it again here at Nationals Park, where BCFP and DK are teaming up with you to bring you Nats baseball here on Masson. Dusty Baker's ball club 2-1. The Marlins are 1-2. Nats trying to grab their first home win here, and this 5th inning sequence could be a big step toward that. That's off the glove of Bohr. Nobody covering first. Bohr got back there, but not in time. So Murphy checks in with a base hit. Bohr kept the Nats off the board by getting his glove on it. And a big spot coming up for Wilson Ramos.
Whoa, we might have action right here. Did his foot get there before Daniel Murphy's? Did Justin Bohr's foot hit the base before Murphy's did? That first angle was pretty good, guys. Let's look at this one again. Can't tell right there. D. Gordon's leg was in the way. And Murphy with a little bit of limp after he goes past the bag. Might have got cleated. I think this is a cleat action, but whose foot hits first? Here we go. This is the definitive shot in my mind. Ooh, that's close. And then you see the cleats on top of Daniel Murphy's foot. And that's a pretty big foot that Justin Bohr is sporting.
And because the call was safe, it has to be indisputable to turn it around in Miami's favor. So the first base umpire, Ted Barrett, the crew chief there.
I think if we look at, they're both looking at first base, and Murphy's going, he stepped right on my foot. That's all he cares about right now. I'm sure he cares about the base hit too. This is the one if we slow it down. What do you got? Slow as you can go. Ooh. You overturn that?
To me, I don't overturn it because it's not indisputable. Famous last words.
No, I know.
For many announcers.
I was 0 for 100 on these last year, so I don't know. But did his foot hit Murphy's foot and not the bag? I guess you could throw that out there too. I think his heel might have hit before he stepped on Murphy. Huge call in this game, 1-1. Bottom of the fifth. Bases loaded for Jason Worth, or get your glove.
Headsets coming off. Runner is safe. Murphy 2 for 2 today, on base 3 times, and a big spot for Worth to bust it open.
Good gamble by Don Mattingly. The risk reward there was worth using your challenge every single day in a tie ball game in the bottom of the fifth. You could have a good challenge and not win it, but you have to take that chance right there if you're Don Mattingly.
Jason Worth still looking for his first base hit, his first RBI of the year. A dozen pitches seen while walking and striking out. Five for 20 career against Kohler with 2 homers, 5 RBIs, and a simple play for the Marlins to end the inning. Nats have stranded 7 base runners today in a 1-1 game.
We head to the top of the 6th inning. Brought to you by Mercedes-Benz of Arlington. Visit them at www.justmercedes.com. Joe Ross settling down a lot like Tom Kohler settling down. Maybe both pitchers just simply warming up on a brisk day here at Nats Park, but the sinker from Joe Ross is getting some double plays, and then the slider has been nasty too. You see a fastball right there for strike 3. Ooh. And I haven't seen too many splits, but keeping an eye out. We'll ask him after the game how many he threw, but I haven't really noticed any of yet.
Yeah, 6 ground ball outs, always good news for Joe. Top of the order, D. Gordon 1 for 2 with a triple and a ground ball to short. He took a home run swing right there. Why not? He's hit 8 in his career. Pulls back on the bunt. Ball 1.
That slider for Joe Ross last year has a 25% swinging strike rate, meaning whenever he throws it, people swing and miss at it 25% of the time. That's high.
Two for 3 is D. Gordon today. And now 8 for 18 to start his season as the defending batting champion.
No stolen bases yet for Gordon. You would think top of the 6th tie ball game, this is time for him to run. So now the cat and mouse game begins.
So Gordon the start today with a triple, has scored their only run. Giancarlo has an RBI single. Prado a triple in the 4th. Real Muto a leadoff single last inning. He was doubled up. D. Gordon 0 for 1 this year. He has 188 career steals. 58 to lead the league last year.
Joe Ross pretty quick to the plate. This should be interesting.
All right, tell me about this stance we're seeing by the runner. That's kind of interesting. Kind of squared off as if facing back to the bag a little bit.
Check it out with you. Just got a wide stance first of all.
Yeah, and then well, this time he's giving a different look. He was almost leaning back to the bag on the first one as if totally expecting a throw, and that was a little different.
As if he peeked in and saw the throw over sign.
Maybe.
Happens.
Yeah, more traditional now than he was at first pitch. And a strike to Marcell Ozuna, who has lined out to second and struck out swinging.
Just trying to keep him there one more pitch, so you're hoping you get that ground ball from Ozuna. See Chris Spire giving the signs right there. Dusty Baker, Mike Maddox having a look at D. Gordon. There's D. Gordon in the box. So they're looking for the lower half on D. Gordon. Does he jab step before he goes back? Does that right knee that's dirty buckle before he goes back? That'll tell you on a throw over that he's thinking about going. A slide step right there from Joe Ross.
Yeah, then a sizzling fastball right behind it.
There was 1 stolen base, 1 caught stealing with Joe Ross last year, so he's not a guy that really allows you a whole lot at first base because he's so quick to the plate. But I love this shot. I mean, I love watching the coaches watch the runner to see if he's going. You see Spire taking a peek out there, Dusty looking over there. See him looking at the runner, not the batter.
Long hold here. Swing and a miss on a great slider. Well, you kept waiting for Ozuna to ask for time there, and he didn't. And then Joe overmatched him with a beauty.
Well, that's just great work by everybody. You're seeing the coaches look at D. Gordon. You got D. Gordon in the bottom corner. We got Joe Ross with slide steps all over the place, keeping D. Gordon close, and then a nasty slider to strike out Ozuna. I mean, that's good stuff right there. I mean, if you come to a ball game and you have a real base stealer out there, it's fun to just watch him and not always watch the baseball at home plate. And you're seeing it right here again. Watch Gordon to see if he gets a lean going. He's got a little bit bigger lead right now. And see that little jab before he went back? Didn't really tip that he's going, but gave you an idea that he's thinking about it.
And now after a visit by Rendon.
The game within the game.
Yelich a walk and a fly ball to center. Another long hold and time given this time.
Well, that hold, a lot like Max Scherzer, is trying to disrupt the timing of D. Gordon. The only way D. Gordon steals second right here is if he times up Joe Ross. Joe is so quick to the plate with his delivery that there's no way he's going to steal it off Wilson Ramos. So if he gets a rolling lead, kind of counts to himself. 1001, 1002, go. 1001, 1002, go. If Joe Ross gets into a tempo, now as a base runner, you can outrun a slide step if you're as fast as D. Gordon if you time it up. Joe Ross is trying to disrupt that.
Missing on that pitch, but his command is really good at this stage of the game.
And I like that even, Joe Ross is paying enough attention to D. Gordon, and so far it's not affecting his pitches to the plate. A lot of times that runner can get in your head, and you're worried so much about him is you forget about the hitter. And that's a guy that'll disrupt your timing at first base if you're a base stealer.
Had him holding 2-0. And I'm glad Michael A. Taylor is getting some playing time. But FP, when I knew the home part of the season was going to open with this series, I was really looking forward to Ben Revere and D. Gordon, two premier leadoff guys. There aren't many like them around baseball. It would have been fun to watch them go at it this weekend.
Two legit stolen base guys, too.
That was pretty quick to home plate. And the 85 slipping by Yelich.
Might have been a changeup, might have been a split. Couldn't really tell on the release point. Either way, Yelich out in front. Real big lead by D. Gordon all of a sudden. He's out there another half step. You see that dark mark in the dirt? That's where he used to be with his right foot. Now he's even a step further.
Taking the legs from out from under the runner. Joe Ross doing that here.
He's doing a fantastic job of holding D. Gordon so far. He can't do it any better than this. Shorter lead.
On the move. Ramos with a bullet. He's out. Pitcher, catcher, coaches, manager, they all get an assist on that one.
4 stars all the way around, from the staff to Joe Ross to Wilson Ramos. Watch D. Gordon shorten up right here. He had a shorter lead, maybe so he felt more comfortable going towards second base. But all the holds, all the throwovers, all the slide steps allowed for Wilson Ramos to have a chance at D. Gordon. And you cannot hold a plus base stealer any better than the Nats just did. Team effort all the way around, from staff to Joe Ross to Wilson Ramos. Perfect.
3-1. The pitch was a ball. Yelich fouls it away.
If you can't tell, I like that kind of stuff.
Well, that's baseball, the speed game, and how guys like D. Gordon, Ben Revere affect the ball game on both sides. Stanton on deck. Ross trying to go after Yelich here. Walked him. 5 walks by Yelich in this series.
And I think they kind of, yeah, he's frustrated because he knew he had to go. He knew that Joe Ross was too quick for him to steal the base, but he got anxious. Knew the importance of him getting to second base right there. Thought he could outrun the slide step. And I think as he gets older and matures, there's sometimes, even in close ball games, you have to shut it down and let your hitters drive you in.
Good smother by Ramos and a move to his right. Giancarlo has singled in a run and pulled a hot shot to Rendon, who threw him out from third. Quality strike to the outer edge.
See, that's where you have to be careful to Stanton, because if he gets extended on fastballs away, he can shoot him out to right about 5 feet off the ground the whole way. But they've made him so conscious of the inside half that may have surprised him.
PNC has us inside the numbers. Giancarlo, in case you didn't know, almost 200 more career games than Bryce. 83 more homers. They're both slugging, and they both homer frequently, especially Giancarlo when he's healthy and he's hot. Check swing on a pitch that jammed him.
There's not too much he can do with this if he swings. Watch this sink off the plate in. Got the benefit of the doubt right there. I mean, they said he went, but that's where you pitch him. He can't keep that ball fair. Even if he hits it 4 miles, it's going to be foul. But if you miss a couple of inches to the inner half of the plate, it could be ugly. That's the hard part about going into a grown man like Giancarlo Stanton.
A drive to right, but Harper is there, looking into that sunshine. And what a good inning for Joe Ross, the Nats defense, and the dugout. customers can get a free season-long subscription to MLB.tv Premium. Go to T-Mobile.com/MLB to sign up now and catch every moment on America's fastest-growing LTE network. Bottom of the sixth, quite a ball game. Well played, well pitched, well defensed. Each slugger has an RBI, Stanton and Harper. And here's the Nats box. Rendon a base hit, 1 out first inning. Bryce drove him in with a drive off the wall in left center. Daniel Murphy all over the bases again. What else is new? Walk, single, single. Wilson Ramos 0 for 2. 76 pitches, 47 strikes for Tom Kohler. Here comes the bottom of the sixth. That ball ripped and right to Echeverria. Clint Robinson, Danny Espinosa next.
All that stuff we just showed you at home with Joe Ross holding D. Gordon. You know, one thing I failed to mention that is Joe Ross is 22 years old. That's advanced stuff for a young kid on the mound.
Yeah.
To be able to be that aware of the runner, do such a nice job of keeping him close and still throwing strikes and getting outs at the same time. That's stuff you see from veteran guys that have been in the league for 10 years.
He'll have a birthday on May 21st. He keeps doing that. He'll be a veteran by September 21st. Well, no balls, 2 strikes.
A veteran the day he stepped on the mound. His first outing as a rookie was.
Yeah, great mound presence.
Not scared.
Clint held on 0-2.
Because Chris Heisey just hitting himself in the head with the bat. Did you see that? Hey, you got to get ready somehow.
Ross is at 88 pitches. This is the best game Tom Kohler has thrown against the Nats in some time. Maybe the best game ever. 3-6 with a 4.64 ERA coming in.
And it might go back to Bryce Harper's double in the first inning. I think, you know, as a pitcher, once that ball stays in the yard, you know you have a big ballpark behind you, and you can make some mistakes and get away with them.
Strike 3 to Clint Robinson. Mercedes-Benz will track strikeout number 4.
We used to see that a lot with Dan Herron. If a ballpark was playing big, you saw a Dan Herron deal because he knew that if he gave up some long fly balls, he didn't have to worry about the homer, which was his nemesis throughout his career. And I think that first double that Bryce Harper hit in the first inning gave Kohler the confidence to know that, hey, I can be aggressive. I can attack the strike zone because I'm not going to pay with a home run if I make a mistake.
Joe Ross is on deck as Danny Espinosa steps in.
And you look at his splits, Carp. Last year he had the 5th best home ERA for NL starters at 1.68 and 4.82 on the road. So, you know, Kohler has that confidence in big Marlins Park. Hey, I can be aggressive. I can pound the zone. Fly balls are going to stay in the park. Not always the case on the road, but today he feels like he's in his white uniform.
Kohler's had a strikeout touch in his career against Danny Espinosa. Danny 1 for 13 career against him with a couple of Ks today. And 6 overall in their matchup. Well, Drew ready, Dendecker. Although the bullpen is quiet. Payout pitch with 2 outs, bases empty. Danny Espinosa with a good AB. That'll turn the lineup over and get it down to Joe Ross here.
Nats host the Braves for an early 4-game set. Nats Park, April 11th through the 14th. Get your tickets today at nationals.com/tickets. 705-705-705-405. Then the Nats go to Philadelphia and Miami.
Yeah, Max and Gio the next 2 nights.
Who is the second guy? What?
Some
Gio?
guy from Miami named Gonzalez.
I haven't seen him yet this year.
I saw him on the field during batting practice. He's pacing like an animal that's hungry.
Yeah, he not only looks like he's in the witness relocation program, we haven't seen him yet. There he is. I'm going to hear about that one. I like the hair and the beard thing he's got going. I really do.
0-2 to Ross. Swing and a miss. 6 innings. Very efficient by both Ross and Tom Kohler. Top of the 7th in a 1-1 game. Looked around baseball to look for great pitching matchups today. Joe Ross and Tom Kohler may not have jumped out at them, but these guys are pitching like veterans. Cold day, tough on the hitters, but they're pounding the strike zone.
Yeah, they're being aggressive. And like I said, I thought tempo was the key today. When you have a cold game and you're standing on defense, you want to get back in that dugout to those heaters. You don't want to stand out there too long. Both pitchers have been doing a nice job of keeping their defense off the field. It's just a tough day to hit.
Daniel Murphy doesn't think it's a tough day to hit. He's got a couple of knocks. He's been walked. He's been on base the whole time. And now it's inning number 7. We'll see how long Joe Ross can keep this going. One big hit's going to decide this game.
Yeah, you feel like whoever scores next is going to win this game. But, you know, Joe Ross has done, I think, a little bit better than Tom Kohler in the sense that his pace is a little quicker. But both pitchers doing a real good job here today.
Martin Prado for the Marlins in the top of the 7th inning.
Get my jacket back on. That was cold.
1 for 2. Yeah, we're tough guys.
No, we're not.
Shirts and ties, windows open on a day like this. But we can do this when the wind's not blowing. If the wind's blowing, we'd be back in the hallway watching on monitors. Former Nat Edwin Jackson is part of the Miami bullpen. 1 ball, 1 strike to Prado, who's 1 for 2 with the triple. Boer and Real Muto to follow here in the top of the 7th. That's a good looking slider. Prado not guessing that. And that thing ended up right down the middle, and he is strikeout victim number 5.
You know, ever since the first inning, when he really didn't have time to settle into this game, to get into a rhythm. First pitch of the game was a triple by D. Gordon. He did a nice job of getting out of a first and second jam after that, but just seemed like he really warmed up in the second inning. And even though he's at 92 pitches, all of the tough ones came in the first.
Tried to go back to her with that slide piece to Justin Boer, who has popped up to third and hit a fly ball to center. Good low sinking action down and away from the left-handed batter. Anthony Rendon, fair ball, 2 outs.
Joe Ross only been over 100 pitches twice in his short pro career. I think 108 is the most he's ever thrown.
Today his 14th career start, 17th overall big league appearance. 108 pitches, June 13th at Milwaukee last year. That was only his second time out after he got that first start at home with his brother Tyson watching as the Padres were over in Cincinnati.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if Tyson is Joe's brother or Joe is Tyson's brother. How their careers move along.
Look at the run back action on that fastball, even though it's up in the zone. 1 ball, 1 strike. Felipe Rivero has been impressive so far. Jammed him. Bouncer to Espinosa. Danny gets the in-between hop, rid of it in a hurry, and Joe Ross goes roaring in to the 7th inning stretch here on a cold day at Nationals Park. He is impressive. That was a 9-pitch inning. He's at 97 for the day in a 1-1 dandy. By authority of the Washington Nationals, and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the expressed written consent of the Washington Nationals. Bottom of the 7th. This game has been anything but a drag. The Nats will have the top of the order coming up against Tom Kohler, who is red hot himself. And down to the dugout. More from Dan.
Bob Michael A. Taylor set to lead off this inning. The knock on Taylor, if there was one last year, was his inability to consistently put the ball in play, so he's focusing on cutting down those strikeouts this year. I was talking with him about that recently. He said his focus when trying to cut down on the strikeouts is doing damage early in the count. I said, by that do you mean being more aggressive? He said, no, not necessarily more aggressive. I just don't want to miss my pitch. He said sometimes a 1-0 fastball is the best pitch you'll see in that at bat. He said, I need to be better about squaring that ball up. The fewer times Taylor gets to 2 strikes, obviously, the fewer chances he has to strike out. He wants to do damage early in the count when possible, not get to 2 strikes, and that means squaring up those pitches that he does see that are good ones earlier on in the at-bats.
1 for 3 today, finally got in the hit column, thanks Dan. He's 1 for 14 on the year.
Plus,
Taylor, Rendon, and Harper.
Plus, it gets in your head when you get your pitch 1-0 and you foul it off. Why did I miss that? Why isn't that off the wall or, in a gap somewhere? So on top of, getting deeper into the count by fouling off, like Dan said, that was a great report, by the way. But it gets into your head as a hitter. Why in the world isn't that ball put in play?
First pitch take. That's the changeup of Kohler.
And Dusty wants him to look for the top half of that baseball and really work on back spinning the ball, and that'll get you to shorten your swing too.
Michael struck out 158 times last year in 472 at bats. One pitch. Low in the zone. Kohler continues to pitch well. He's due to bat second in the top of the 8th. Swinging a foul tip for the out. Number 6 for Kohler. Suddenly he's found the strikeout touch. 3 of his last 4 batters. We're going to check in with the Potomac Nationals. Their opening day is 5 days away. They'll be home through the 20th. For all your ticket and promo information, some of the most creative and fun promotions in all of minor league baseball, 703-590-2311 or PotomacNationals.com. Anthony Rendon having a good day. First inning single, a run. 5th inning double. And Kohler will drop one to the inside edge. Had 100 pitches, 63 strikes. Came into this inning with first pitch strikes to 13 of the last 14 batters. And the only ball won was Bryce Harper's intentional walk. How about the day of Anthony Rendon? Gets a ball in on his hands, gets the barrel around, and he's 3 for 4.
Lightning quick hands from Anthony Rendon. Look at that. Pull him in, bent arm swing. Takes a pitch off the plate in and fights it up the middle. He actually didn't fight anything. Got the barrel of that baseball. 3rd knock of the day. Tom Mattingly has to play matchup baseball right now with Bryce Harper. They got an old double switch going.
Anthony Rendon now hitting .353. So Don Mattingly will switch a couple of things around here. And go to his bullpen with Bryce Harper coming up. Bryce has a good day going. So does Rendon. Braves are in town. Max Scherzer had a great opening day down there. Gave up a couple of home runs, did not figure in the decision, but he was outstanding. 3 hits, 2 runs, 2 walks, 7 strikeouts. A double play ball in 104 pitches against the Braves on opening day. Max and the Braves tomorrow night. Bud Norris goes for Atlanta. Johnny and Ray, 6:30. Nats Extra, Masson 2. First base Chris Johnson will take over, right-handed batter. He'll be batting second in the top of the 8th inning, and this is 34-year-old left-hander Chris Narveson.
Fastball averages 89. Slider curve change to complement it. One game this year, ERA at 9. Opponent's hitting .455 early in the 2016 season.
Tom Kohler, 101 pitches, 64 strikes. It's Bryce Harper against Narveson, lefty-lefty matchup here. And Bryce is facing this veteran for the first time. Goes ripping. 85 with some cutting action. Career double number 99 earlier today, sitting on 99 home runs.
Dusty Baker will take 100 in either one of those categories right now.
Yep. Harper to left center. This ball is on the ground and heading for the 377 mark. Caught off by Yelich, and they're going to stop Rendon at third. That was a late call by Bob Henley, and I think he made the right call. Second and third, 1 out. Double number 100 for Bryce.
Well, that was a good change of mind by Bob Henley, because he was waving Anthony Rendon, and Echeverria had the ball. Rendon would have been out by 50 feet right here if he sends him. So Bryce Harper with his 100th career double. Nice play by Christian Yelich cutting this ball off. If that ball gets to the wall, that's an easy send for Bob Henley. Bryce Harper scrambling back to second base, but that was good perspective for you in that first replay. You saw how far Anthony Rendon would have been out had Bob Henley sent him. And there's the Dusty Cam. I love it.
They're going to walk Murphy to local bases.
Wow.
They got to have a right-hander ready for Jason Worth, and that'll be Edwin Jackson.
Well, this is where Jason Worth is taking this personal. I mean, you have to. You know, Bryce didn't give me time, but they intentionally walked him in the 5th inning. And I mentioned that happened to Barry Bonds a lot. We showed Barry. In 2004, Barry Bonds walked 232 times. 120 of those were intentional walks. 120 intentional walks. He had 617 plate appearances in 2004 and only 373 at-bats. Unbelievable.
Narveson done after not retiring a batter. It'll be Jason Worth against an old teammate. And the Nats fans will probably give Edwin Jackson a nice greeting, but that'll be before he throws his first pitch. To you by Ocean City, Maryland. Let us show you a good time in Ocean City, Maryland. Book now at OCOcean.com. And by American Standard Heating and Air. It's their all-star sales event with up to $1,100 in instant rebates or 0% APR for 36 months.
That last car ran the red light, by the way. Did you see that?
That never happens in South Capitol Street. Yeah, Nationals Park looking right up north toward the dome, where the scaffolding is slowly but surely coming off. And here's Jason Worth against a former net, Edwin Jackson, the 32-year-old veteran.
A fastball, slider, curveball change. A fastball averages 94. Slider to right-handers mostly. And Jason Worth looking for something to elevate in the middle of the ballpark right here and put his ball club ahead.
Worth against Jackson, career 2 for 10. Good speed on the bases with Rendon, Harper, and Murphy. What a day for Anthony Rendon. Three base runners in a row after the first out. High strike, inside edge.
This might be a little generous. Well, could have went either way. It goes Edwin Jackson's way. That's something you definitely don't want to swing at if you're Jason Worth.
Jason airing one out now. Probably take a more cautious approach now on 0-2.
Pretty good rip right here. Just a little late sink from Jackson. And take two and go to right.
Crowd of 25,000 quiet at the moment. Great turnout on a cold day. They'd love to be rewarded here after the 7th inning stretch. And Real Muto will visit with Edwin Jackson.
Small sample size, 3 for 11, but a couple of doubles.
Way outside.
Show me fastball away. You thinking Edwin Jackson's coming back in right here? Could be wrong, but the two fastballs for strikes were up and in. That was just, hey, let's change his eye level, go away. See if he comes back in right here in a 1-2 count. No, they're going away.
Quite a take by Jason Worth. Counts back even, 2-2. One game, bottom 7. Nats have out hit the Marlins 9-5.
It's a good foul ball. Borderline slider down the way. Live to fight another pitch. Can't sit around and take another one close and hope that Will Little gives you the benefit. Jason Worth hoping for that same pitch with a little more plate. Crowd's into it.
Edwin really working slowly here. 2-2 pitch with one out. Worth to right center. That ball falling onto the turf. The Nats go on top. Harper stops at third. Jason Worth, first base hit, first RBI of the year.
It looked like he got a cut fastball from Edwin Jackson and just did that extendo swing thing that he does with 2 strikes. Gets enough of it to throw it over D. Gordon's head. And Bryce Harper went back to tag on that just in case Gordon caught it. But there's the Dusty Cam. He's digging it. Jason Worth's digging it. I'm telling you, man, there's a lot of pride in number 28, and whoever you walk to get to him, he's definitely going to take it personal. Jason Worth with a huge knock here in the 7th for the Nats.
Still only 1 out now. Wilson Ramos wants to elevate something.
Give me some more Dusty Cam.
Boom.
Yep. I'm telling you, man, I don't care how long you played, that first hit of the season is always the hardest one to get.
3 ground balls by Ramos, who wants to get something up against Edwin Jackson, but that's on the infield. Echeverria, umpires call infield fly rule, 2 down. With 2 outs, it'll be up to Clint Robinson, who has never faced Edwin Jackson.
Well, that's got to feel good for Jason Worth.
It's a bullet in the box score.
Well, I mean, there's been a lot of talk around town panicking after 3 games because he doesn't have a hit. Relax. It's a long season. He's going to be fine. That's why there's 158 more of these. 158. That just happens every year, though, right?
There's always one guy.
But wherever you're at, after the 2 games, 3. And right now, the Rockies think that Story's Babe Ruth. It's only 3 games on that end, too. There's a long way to go, whether you're struggling early or whether you're tearing it up early. You're always going to get to where you get to. It's called track record.
That's a strike to Clint Robinson. Trying to bust up an 0 for 3 today. Nats have had Blake Treinen throwing in the bullpen. Looking ahead to the 8th. Robinson checks his swing. They have some good base runners out there. Bryce at 3rd. Target in. Robinson fights it off. $24,593 paid today. It's a great crowd considering the cold temperatures. So that was the 2nd run of the day, and the final run charged to Tom Kohler. Target in. Robinson takes another borderline pitch. 2-2. This is Edwin's 3rd appearance for the Marlins. He's been out there twice for an inning each time. That target was inside and he missed away.
But that's a good foul ball in the sense, a lot like Jason Worth, you live to fight another pitch. Borderline pitch, kind of an emergency hack. Flick it in the stands, get you another one. And look at pitch track where pitch number 6 was. Borderline pitch. He decided late, I better protect. See if it pays off.
Bases loaded. A run home. 2 outs, 2-2 pitch. Robinson takes one that skips out in front. And Edwin Jackson has to throw a strike now.
Oh, this is the best play in baseball. 3-2, 2 outs, bases loaded, everybody going. Love it.
Felipe Rivero. Pitcher spot is due up. Actually, it's Chris Johnson due up second for the Marlins in the 8th, but right now they've got right-handed batters on deck and then D. Gordon. So Gordon may be the reason Rivero is up again.
Start your engines.
Clint Robinson to left field. That'll drive in 2. Worth stops at third. Harper's home. Murphy's home. And Clint Robinson has his first hit of the year with 2 RBIs attached. 4-1 Nationals.
I will show you the base hit with the bases loaded, 3-2, 2 outs. But pitch number 6 before pitch number 7 is what determines this at bat. Clint Robinson did an amazing job of fouling off a borderline pitch. What's Dusty think? He called it. He told somebody in the dugout he was getting a hit. And what an at bat. What a 7-pitch masterpiece from Clint Robinson. I'm more impressed with him fouling off the pitch before to get to that pitch than that one. But Clint Robinson, clutch.
Danny Espinosa steps in. Big inning for the Nats now. 3 runs on 4 hits and an intentional walk. Espinosa 0 for 2 with a base on balls. Way inside on him as he faces Edwin Jackson for the 7th time. There's Stephen Drew on deck to hit for Joe Ross. Shadows creeping. It's 4 o'clock in a cold ballpark. And this inning has warmed us all up as the Nats lead by 3.
It's a good matchup for Danny Espinosa right here. His swing versus Edwin Jackson's stuff.
Now he's 2 for 6 against Edwin career. This one out of play to left side. Phillies have opened up a 5-2 win at New York. Nats lead here 4-1. Espinosa high in the air left field, and that'll reach the seats.
I got a foul ball, I got a foul ball, I got a foul ball. Woohoo! That wasn't me, that was him. I swear.
They play Espinosa straight away, all outfields.
This is Real Muto changing up the coverage on the first and third steal. I would imagine they're going to throw through if Clint Robinson for some reason decides to steal. I don't think you put on the trick play where you pump fake and go to third here.
Count goes to 1-2. Espinosa stays alive, much like Clint Robinson did on a 2-strike count.
So the guys
have been some good at bats.
Yeah, great at bats. The guy's doing a good job of capturing Dusty Baker's emotion today. I love it. And we talked about having a Dusty cam, but you know where else we should have a cam? On that moon crane out there in left, right at the end of it. It's hanging over the field.
I was told if you're willing to go up there and hang that thing, they're all for it.
We should. It'd be like having a blimp.
2-2 pitch. Espinosa drills one to center. Ozuna back at the edge of the track. And the Nats had some great ABs in a 3-run, 4-hit bottom of the 7th. Dusty all the time, rooting his guys on, and a big lead with 6 outs to get.
We go to the top of the 8th, 4-1 Nationals. Bryce Harper, big day. Jason Worth, big day. Anthony Rendon with 3 knocks himself. Don't forget about that. Joe Ross was absolutely spectacular. What more could you ask from Joe Ross in his first start of the year? But just like we promised you earlier in the game, it's Miller time, brought to you by Miller Lite. What's our Miller moment, I wonder? Oh, hey, Jason Worth checking in with your first knock of the year. Battling with 2 strikes, throws it over D. Gordon's head. That scored Anthony Rendon. Moved the line to Clint Robinson. Dusty Baker loving every minute of it. So is Jason Worth. And so are Nats fans everywhere. A lot more in the tank, folks, from number 28, I promise you.
Yeah, Worth, RBI. Robinson drives in 2 with a fantastic at bat. And now here's Blake Trinan for the top of the 8th inning. Adeiny Echeverria 0 for 3 career against Blake, who's come out to start his season with a scoreless inning. 1 walk, 1 strikeout so far. And a chopper to short. Espinosa on the charge. 1 out.
I don't know about you, but I am digging watching Danny Espinosa play short. I know it's early in the season, it's only 4 games, but he's got a chance to win a Gold Glove. He really does. He's that good at shortstop.
Agreed. And digging it too.
You digging it?
Chris Johnson hit .235 for the Braves and .289 for the Indians last year. Marlins picked him up as a free agent January 12th. .280 career hitter. And against Blake Trinan, 0 for 5 with 3 strikeouts. Blake Trinan so tough on right-handers. By the way, Felipe Rivero still throwing. D. Gordon is on deck. Nats lead by 3. Somebody gets on here, might change things.
Nats going to win this. You can go back to the 6th inning and circle Joe Ross versus D. Gordon on first base for the turning point of this ball game. 1-1 game. D. Gordon leads off the 6th with a base hit, and then the whole job of keeping him close and still getting outs was just amazing to me. I mean, and the way the guys painted the picture of the bench watching him, Joe Ross's slide step, D. Gordon at first base. That's the moment of this game for me. That's where Joe Ross has a chance to win this game right there.
As you mentioned, for a young guy just short of his 23rd birthday, advanced stuff.
Advanced stuff.
At the big league level. Swing and a miss. Ramos will casually grab it and throw out Chris Johnson. 2 down. So here comes D. Gordon.
Follow the Nationals baseball squad live all season long with MLB.com at Bat App. Stay up to the moment at any moment with Game Day Live, Game Day Video, StatCast News, and more. Download MLB.com at Bat, the #1 app for live baseball on your phone or tablet.
D. Gordon a triple in the first, single in the 6th, and a ground out to end the top of the 8th. Great inning for Blake Treinen on 9 pitches, getting this one bottom 8 up by 3. That's Extra, presented by Who But WB Mason. Johnny and Ray here at the ballpark. That's right after we finish things up today. We're going to the bottom of the 8th inning. Matt Dendecker will be the leadoff guy, pinch hitting, trying to get another rally going. How about his heroics coming off the plane Wednesday in Atlanta?
And got a ball down in the zone, hit the base of the wall. And the fact that that ball stayed in allowed Danny Espinosa to score. Off the plane, into the dugout in the 5th. Pinch hit late, not a problem. Game winner.
This is 34-year-old right-hander Dustin McGowan, who takes over with the Marlins down by 3.
Fastball slider change. Fastball average is 93. Throws that fastball about 80% of the time. Opponents hitting 333 off Dustin McGowan.
So here's Matt Dendecker. He got one of the loudest ovations here on opening day. His heroics fresh in the minds of our fans on Thursday. Facing Dustin McGowan for the first time. And if you're looking for impressive, that was a 9-pitch, 7-strike 8th inning by Blake Treinen. 1, 2, 3. 2 ground balls and a strikeout. Jonathan Papelbon not warming up, which is still a save situation here. I don't know. Cold day like this, FP, maybe Dusty might like the way the Blake Treinen stuff is working. We'll see.
It doesn't take Papelbon too many pitches.
He's going to the mound now.
Don't panic.
Dendecker rips one high in the air to center, sending Ozuna back right in front of the 402 mark.
He got pop. And that's a nice thing to have when you're behind late in the game.
And by the way, Washington's warmer than Syracuse right now. Catch the complete game. Don't miss a home run or game-changing play. For Nats alerts and opportunities to win exclusive prizes, including meet and greets with Nats players, text Nationals to 29292. Taylor one career at bat against Dustin McGowan. It was a base on balls. Jan, then he fights it back to the screen. McGowan most of his career with Toronto, with the Blue Jays from 05 through the 2014 season, but a couple of seasons off because of injury. Split time. Phillies and the Marlins the last 2 years. And that's 2 outs on a play by Martin Prado. Anthony Rendon was 3 for 13 coming in, 3 for 4 today.
Just using the middle. Almost took Tom Kohler's head off with that line drive, and then the chopper down the third base line for a double in the 5th inning. And how about in the 7th? Did a nice job of taking an inside fastball, pulling his hands in, and going right back up the middle for his 3rd hit of the day.
Facing McGowan for the first time. Final in, Phillies won at New York, beat the Mets again. 1-0 last night, 5-2 today. And the other game involving a divisional foe, the Braves having an offensive day with the Cardinals, leading St. Louis 6-5. 7th inning, the Braves are still trying to win their first game. They'll be here tomorrow. Slider, that's a good take right there.
He'd like to get up there one more time.
Yeah, Bryce on base 3 times today, pair of doubles, including number 100, 2nd time up.
That late strike call?
Now that was a delayed call.
Wait. Wait, but this is late.
This pitch get called from the 3rd base dugout.
Watch how late.
Yeah. Looked like a good pitch. Just tardy.
Sometimes your brain doesn't fire as fast as it should. Nobody knows that better than I do. Wait.
So the one called the strike was a 2-1 pitch that made it 2-2. Well, now it's 3-1, pardon me. It was a 2-0 pitch. Yeah, now it's 3-2. Scoreboard trying to catch up. And Rendon to the left side. Echeverria, a couple of crow hops. We're going to the top of the 9th. The Marlins have good hitters coming up, and the Nats have their closer coming up. Papelbon against Ozuna, Yelich, and the big man Stanton. Atlanta won very routine opening day on a 1-2-3 inning. Couple of base runners the second time out, but he got both of them done, and he's looking for number 3 here.
Yeah, Monday, opening day. Got the home save. We like those. Smoked Wilson Ramos in the gut with the right, and then he goes right to the gut again. So a couple of body punches to Wilson Ramos. I like it. That's why he's got gear on. He'll be fine.
He's punching to the beat of his own drummer, actually. So here's Papelbon. He does some different things with that fastball. He's got the splitter FP for the out pitch.
Yeah, splitter 84, fastball averaging 90.8 miles an hour early this season.
Ozuna, 1 for 8 career against him, 0 for 3 today. Steve Reich 1 inside edge. Nationals trying to go 3-1 on the young season, gain a split of this 2-game series. Comes out throwing heat and throwing strikes. Jammed him. Right center, Michael A. Taylor.
Fastball in, fastball out, fastball in.
Max Scherzer on the mound tomorrow night. Boy, that'd be a feel-good start to the week, huh? Coming off a win Sunday. Max going tomorrow against Bud Norris. Johnny and Ray Nats Extra 6:30 tomorrow. First pitch 7:05. Kristen Yelich pretty good against Papelbon, career with an RBI, 3 for 6. Up in the zone, strike 1. Took a little bit off on that 82.
Well, that's a good look at how he hides the baseball. You see how he starts with his front side closed and then kind of turns his numbers toward you as a hitter, and then the ball just pretty much comes out of nowhere. Watch this. Yeah, show it again. The deception from Jonathan Papelbon.
Ball 3.
And then the arm just comes from, you know, at the very end while he's showing you his numbers.
Yelich pumps one to right. Harper can only watch it out of here, and it's a 4-2 game. Kristen Yelich, first of the year.
Oh, we showed you the success, 3 for 6, now 4 for 7 with a homer off Jonathan Papelbon.
Kristen Yelich, second RBI of the season. Giancarlo Stanton cannot tie the game. It's 4-2 as he steps in. 4 for 11 career with 1 RBI against Jonathan Papelbon. Shift is on. Papelbon gave up 7 homers last year, 3 with the Phils, 4 with the Nats. Gets a strike on a ball crossing the plate from one corner to the other. Yeah, just able to run that thing back. Such a sidearm whip on that fastball. That slider was sitting up.
Yeah, that's not where Jonathan Papelbon wanted that slider to stand. He got away with one for sure right there. He'd be the first one to tell you.
Swing and a miss. Did he drop the splitter on him? That thing really diving. 2 outs.
Yeah, I don't think he wanted to go back to the slider, but maybe he did. Let me see.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the slider at 77. He just threw a better one. And he almost had to after the one he left right out over the plate. So Papelbon makes the adjustment. Proven closer, knows how to do that, and gets a big strikeout here in the 9th.
Martin Prado 1 for 9 career against him. Strike 1. That was a breaking ball, kind of backing up inside. Line drive, that'll get the tying run to the plate. As Martin Prado checks in, 2nd hit of the day, 4th hit of the series. And the Marlins will counter with Derek Dietrich off of their bench. And Lenny Harris, who's on their coaching staff, told me this morning he's really been their best pinch hitter through the spring and into the regular season. Likes him a lot.
That's a good call by Lenny because he's hitting 1,000. Way to go out on a limb.
Dietrich career against Papelbon 1 for 4. Out of play. This guy hit 10 home runs and 250 at bats last year. He's got pull side pop. Robinson behind the runner at first. Now the Nats a strike away.
Late on 89, late on 91.
Hats off to the 24,593 who came to this one today.
They saw a good game, or they're seeing a good game. Still a big pitch to make.
Been a big battle. Runner goes low. Prado to second base. Nats indifferent.
This is what sign are we using with the runner on second? See both middle infielders in there?
Yeah.
Real quick. Second sign, last sign, first sign.
Or will there be a sign for the first one?
Should be. Maybe not. Good call.
1 ball, 2 strikes with 2 outs. Ground ball right side. Murphy behind it. The Nats are 3-1 to start the season. Jonathan Papelbon 3 for 3. They split the series. Braves coming to town tomorrow. And finally, after a long opening day and a couple of off days, the Nats play again and get a very nice win at home.